Welcome to the Rising Phoenix Rise, Recover and Rebuild podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Demiri, founder of Create Again, Breakup, Mindset and Life Coaching. A large number of people are either thinking about separating, are in the middle of a separation, or are already divorced. Chances are that you're in one of those categories, and if not, know someone that is. While separation and divorce is a normal part of life, there's still a stigma attached, and no one really talks about what it is like to go through this experience, and even less what to do to rebuild yourself. I will be interviewing mothers and business owners, lawyers, and a variety of other people I believe can provide some tips and insight into their lives, and I'm certain you will be able to relate to some of it. If you feel that anything in today's episode resonates with you, make sure to book your 30-minute complimentary session with me today. I would love the opportunity to be part of your rebuilding journey. But now let's get started with today's guest. Welcome to the very first episode of the Rising Phoenix Rise, Recover and Rebuild podcast. I am so excited that the day is finally here and I get to release this podcast into the world to support men and women alike on their journey following separation and divorce. And this podcast is getting launched on a very special day. It is my birthday today, so happy birthday to me. But also happy birthday to this beautiful podcast. Now, as per my intro, I have a variety of guests on the show. And one of the reasons for that is that I wanted to show you that everyone could get separated or divorced, no matter the age, social demographic, race or religion. And if it is not a separation or divorce, of course, we all have experienced a breakup during some point in our lives. And there's ample of support out there in the world to guide you on your way and get you through those very challenging times. Now, for my first episode, I decided that I want to tell you a little more about myself, my story, and how Create Again came about. But also, I have received a few questions from people that I would like to answer today. So some of you might already follow me on Instagram at Create Again, Facebook, Create Again Coach, or had a look at my website, createagain.com.au. And there is a little bit about my why for this beautiful coaching business. But today you will definitely get a bit more of an in-depth insight into my world, who I am, and yes, why Create Again exists. And also how I have changed as a person to feel that I'm the best person to bring Create Again into this world. Now that leads me to the very first question. Why did you start Create Again in the first place? So I started Create Again 2 years after my own separation and divorce. I was stood down from my corporate role as a sales manager in a hotel and had ample of time at home to reevaluate my life really. So when I went through my own separation, I did most of the healing work on my own, and I wished I had known people or the right people and coaches to support and guide me through this journey of my life. It was really hard and challenging, and during the time that I had at home, that's when it clicked for me, and I realized that I would love to work with people that are having their challenges in this area of their lives and want to guide them through it. I know what it feels like to have the carpet ripped away from underneath your feet and feeling like a complete failure because you couldn't make your marriage work. And during my marriage, I also had completely lost who I was outside of being a married woman. I didn't know who I am as a person. I had neglected friendships or other relationships in my life. And I only really had our couples goals. I never really had goals on my own when we were together. And during my marriage as well, I did try to look after my health a lot, at least my physical health and my nutrition. But that was only really, just a starting point. And when I realized that there's so much more that one can work on, your inner work, all the healing that needs to be done from so many years, even when you think you had a great childhood, and how that affects your life in a later stage. That's why I started Create Again. I wanted to be the person to help people on their journey and understanding all of this and how it will affect relationships for them moving forward. Now, another question is, how has your identity changed as you have grown and developed? Now, I'm not going to lie here, but there was a time during my marriage that I didn't like myself very much. I had so many issues going on deep inside of me that I wasn't even aware of. I had no self-worth, never thought I was good enough, or enough for that matter, and didn't really like myself in so many ways that probably also had an impact on the breakdown of my marriage as well. Following the separation, a friend of mine handed me a book, and that was the first personal development book that I had ever read. So after the separation, that's the first book I read, and I uncovered some of the areas that bothered me, and I slowly started the journey of growing. I had realized reading this book things that I haven't done right, things that I can improve on. And yeah, the journey of growing, healing, and working through childhood traumas that I didn't even know existed, that was the start of it. And I learned more about how to accept who I am as a person, but also who I can be. And the more work I did on myself, the more I started to become calmer and kinder. And the more I healed, the kinder and calmer I got, really. But yeah, it is a never-ending journey, and I still have parts of myself to heal. And I am looking forward to the growth and the discomfort that can come when you are doing all this healing work. I recently did a 1-week retreat with the Enlighten Co. Definitely check them out if you get the chance. And at this retreat, I met some of the most amazing women I have ever come across. And I'm so proud to call these women my soul sisters now. And there was so much respect for each individual personal journey and so much love on the retreat. And we all really got to dig deep into who we were. And especially for myself, I can say I dug really, really deep into who I am and who I wanted to be. And I think for the first time in my life, I can actually say that I love and respect myself. And although I thought I did before the retreat, I now realize that I was actually mistaken, that there was still so much more to accept about myself and my past, and so much more learning on how to love myself. And during the process of growing, I guess, when you are changing who you are and you are doing all this work, you are also unfortunately losing some people in your life sometimes. And that includes family and friends. And now I know that that's okay. Sometimes that happens, and in order to keep growing, you need to leave people behind that no longer align with who you are becoming. So those people still have a special place in my heart and always will, but they are no longer part of my life and my journey, because they're just at a very different place in their life to where I am now. And I guess to sum it all up, how my identity has changed and how I've grown and developed, I think, the biggest takeout is that I am a calmer person, I am kinder, and understanding why I did or said certain things in my past, where that came from, and that is actually not the real me. And now I'm finally becoming the person that I was always meant to be and always wanted to be as well, deep down inside. Now, another question, and it is a little bit similar to the first one. Tell me about the person you were and how you have risen. So, yeah, I did touch on that in the previous question, but the main takeaway is probably that I hated myself and everything that represented me. I was so unhappy. I was putting on a mask and pretended to, that everything is going well in my life. I lashed out at people because I didn't know how to deal with my emotions and the way I felt about myself as well. So, I wasn't a very nice person. I wouldn't have wanted to be friends with me, and that is actually quite hard to admit to. But the worst is really that when I was this person, I was not even really aware. I didn't realize what I was doing and how I was doing it. So I didn't realize at the time that I was this person that I knew I didn't like me, but I didn't really know what I was doing, how I was doing it, how it impacted others, and how it kept impacting myself and my own self-worth. And now I'm genuinely happy. I'm kind and I love who I am and who I'm becoming. I'm still growing every day and I'm chipping away on old parts, and finally the person is coming to surface that I was always meant to be. But yes, there's still more growing and healing to do, and it will always be. I have become this person through extremely hard work on myself and dedication. As I said, I had to dig really, really deep to understand where some of the feelings originated from and why I coped the way I did. It has been a very messy time. It's been very emotional, and it has been heartbreaking on occasion as well to realize how I treated others. I was really taken back sometimes when I realized the way I treated others. And then for a moment again, I hated myself for having treated others that way. But that is no longer me. And sometimes we have to go through those deep and dark points in our lives to realize who we are. And I'm not proud of the fact that I treated people that way. Absolutely not. But I am proud of now being able to see it and acknowledge it. And ever since I had this realization, I have never ever done it again. So I am definitely now a better person for it. And yeah, as I said, sometimes you have to fall, get back up and rise again to be that better person. And one of the biggest lessons I learned was the way how I attach to people. I suffered from severe abandonment issues, and that led me to claw onto people. So whenever people liked me, I had friends, I got along with people, I had to do anything and everything that I could to keep them around. And, you never know what could happen. They could just leave you. And I will go back into that a little bit later when I talk a little bit about another question about how I healed some of my traumas. But yes, I was really fixated on people when they finally liked me, and that led to being a very clingy person in so many ways, for friends or even for romantic partners or potential romantic partners. And again, I didn't even realize it at that point. And the more I understood that I had those abandonment issues, the more I realized and could acknowledge the behavior that I was displaying and could work on that as well. So now I have that awareness and I worked through it. I definitely like to think that I'm now a better friend and a better potential partner. And yes, what are some of the traumas you had to work on for your own healing? So I will go a little bit more into my childhood later, but yes, if you look at it from the outside, I had a pretty good childhood, and one wouldn't think that there too many issues. My parents wanted me, as they say. They worked really hard to have me after my mother unfortunately lost twin girls. So I was definitely very loved at the beginning in the early stages of my life. In saying that, expectations were always very high. I could eat with knife and fork at the age of 3. Properly, my parents could take me to a 5-star restaurant at that age. And I was always sitting well at the table. There was no playing. I was not able to or allowed to run around or be noisy in a restaurant, things like that. So yes, one could definitely say I was a very small adult in that regards. And then the pressure started even more as soon as I went to school, and I dieted for most of my life, as my parents were constantly concerned about my weight, even though I was actually the perfect weight for my age. But I also got bullied all the way from high school through to, my graduation from high school. Another reason I dieted was because I was told that I can only be successful in life if I'm pretty and skinny. And when I was bullied as well, and they verbally attacked me, it was always about my weight and my looks. And at one point, you just start to believe it and say those things to yourself, especially when, some of that comes from home. So in regards to my childhood, so my dad always worked a lot, and it was challenging to get his attention when I was a little girl. And there was a situation at one point where I had a friend that had lost her dad. And so my dad was always giving her a lot of attention and affection, and sometimes even more attention to her than he did to me. I had recently brought this up with my mother, and she actually confirmed to me that that impression that I had was actually correct. He did give her more attention than what he did give me. And that he sometimes even completely ignored me and enjoyed me or seeing me fighting for the attention. Most of the time, I only got attention from my dad when things went the opposite to what he was hoping for. So he was hoping for me to have good grades in school, but I really got his attention only when I had bad grades. And I never did have bad grades or anything like that on purpose. I think just subconsciously there was just a block that then started to certain behaviors of mine in order to get his attention. But I do strongly believe that he did the best that he could with what he was given by his parents. And I'm pretty sure he never received the love and compassion from his parents that he was craving. I never really got to meet my grandparents, so they passed away when I was really, really young. And most of the memories that I have from them are related in ways that they were rewarding me with food when I did well with something or when I was upset. So, the memory of my grandparents is also not necessarily the best. But yes, so there's definitely a fair bit of childhood trauma that is not that obvious, that is probably a little bit more digging deeper and on a very on a level that I never realized, and that some people from the outside probably wouldn't even have seen. So there was a lot of manipulation in a way as well, emotional manipulation. And but as I said, I do believe my dad did the best that he could based on his experience as a child. The second last question, why did you feel people and especially women needed Create again? So as I was saying earlier, I did most of the work on my own, and it was hard. It was really, really hard. I had to go through some extensive research and educate myself on so many topics and areas of life. I did obviously my coaching certificate as well. But even to heal myself, I had to do so much research and so much reading, understanding traumas and healing, and used processes like journaling as well. And there was a lot of trial and error, and honestly there probably still is on occasion. But yeah, if I could have had someone in my corner, such as Create Again, there would have been some questions I could have addressed earlier. There would have been, there would be things that I could have worked through a lot quicker as well. So, for example, even if I would have had a first big breakup in my early 20s with someone like Create Again around, I could have healed parts of my traumas earlier and wouldn't have carried them all the way into the 30s, and realized how I attach to people and how that impacts romantic relationships or friendships and other types of relationships in my life. If someone gets the opportunity to do the work in a space of 2, 3, or 6 months versus 2, 3, or 6 years, why not offer that option to people and for them to heal and to support them? So again, I was at that point, and I've been there. I had to go through the heartbreak and I had to do the hard work. But if I can support people, men and women alike, why not help them going through this and learning about themselves a lot earlier and a lot quicker to move forward with their lives? Another question: how do you feel about your ex-husband? That's a good one. I have nothing but love for him. So we were together for 10 years and married for 7. And most of the time, they were good times. And I like to keep thinking about the good memories. We just were two different people on different paths. And at one point in our lives, we needed each other for a certain time. And we had to learn from each other. And I had to make the mistakes that I did. He had to make the mistakes that he did. And when the lessons that we had to learn were over, we had to just go our separate ways. I haven't spoken to him since the separation, really. And that's okay. And I don't think he would want to speak to me. I, at this point in time, don't feel like I necessarily need to speak to him. But yes, I certainly hope he is well and happy with whatever he's doing with whoever he is right now. And actually one more question. What are your daily rituals? Well, to be honest, that actually changes a lot. I still haven't 100% found my ideal daily ritual, but there are certain things that I incorporate every day into my life. One of the biggest one is probably journaling. So I do like to journal either in the morning or in the evening. So in the morning about certain thoughts that I have, or in the evening on how my day was, and really incorporate some thought processes in that as well, such as, how could a situation have been different based on, energies in the room and things like that. So those are things that I journal about, but also I sometimes use journal prompts. I just write about my day, or I just write about things that I'm just really deeply feeling at that moment as well. Then I do meditate on a daily basis as well, but that can vary from anywhere 5 minutes to 20 minutes. So it really depends on what I feel I need on the day. And then I obviously have, certain regimes that in regards to my self-care, such as doing masks on a regular basis, and dry brushing and all that sort of stuff. So They are still a work in progress, but no, your normal daily skin routine that I have. But ever since the retreat, I actually do like to have a cacao on a daily basis as well, either to wind down from the day or, yes, to start my day as well. That really depends, what I feel like. Yeah, so still working through that. There's definitely some exercise in there as well. And as part of a routine, I do make sure that I get 7 to 8 hours sleep a day as well. But yeah, exercises in there as well, either walking or going to the gym or yoga. I'm currently actually transitioning from weight training to a bit more yoga because I feel like that's what my body is craving at the moment. So I try to listen to that as much as I possibly can. Now, that was the last question. So thanks everyone for sending them in. And they really beautifully covered everything that I wanted to talk about and share anyways. So I am extremely grateful for the life that I get to live now and want to thank every person that has ever crossed my path to have been part of it at one point or another. And I hope you got a bit of an insight into who I was, who I am now, and now how I want to guide people to become the best version they could possibly be. Then next week will be the first episode where I have a guest. So I will be interviewing my first guest, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some insights into their lives with you. If you did like today's episode, please follow me on Spotify or Apple Podcast. And of course, please share with your friends or someone you believe could need some guidance and support on their path moving forward. And if you do have any questions, please feel also free to message me or leave a comment. And yeah, I have so much love for you all. I am sending you love and light and hope you join me again next week. Thank you. If you decide you would like to work with me or would like to know a little bit more about what I do, reach out via call or message and book your 30-minute complimentary breakthrough session either through my website, createagain.com.au, my Instagram @createagain, or on Facebook @createagaincoach. I also have a private Facebook group which provides a safe space and gives you the opportunity to connect with other people that have been through a similar journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like, comment and share. I'm so grateful that you have listened today and hope to welcome you back next week. Thank you.